Well, howdy there, folks. Welcome to the next episode of Drinkin and Dinkin with Adam. As you can see, I'm in a quite different location than I typically am, whether it's up in my attic or out in my garage underneath my car. Today, I am in my home kitchen to do something very special. Not going to be dinking with tools. Well, I guess kitchen tools I'll be dinking with. But today I'm going to be making a thick boy loaf of some artisan bread. I'll be back here in a second and I'll be able to show you everything that I use and all of the kitchen tools I'll be dinking with today. Of course, there ain't no drinking and dinking without a nice drink to sip on. Look at that. Picked that up when I was in Colorado at a local liquor store that just happened to have about 48 of these back in their back refrigerators. I'll be sipping on this nice little boy. That'll be a nice little treat today. Well, like I said, I'll be right back, show you all the tools I'll be using, all the ingredients, everything step by step. Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh, well, hey, y'all. Your boy's back. All right, so as you can see, got all of my ingredients laid out and all my tools. So I just want to go over this recipe with you really quick. And as you'll notice, I do have a scale here. I prefer to weigh everything before it goes into my bread, because sometimes, like flour and things, it gets too heavy. You want to weigh it out to get the precise gram amount that you need just to ensure you got yourself a good bread. Okay, but yeah, love my scale. Can't recommend it enough. It's fantastic. Any kind of scale will do. This one's pretty cool. Got that on Amazon.com. So we'll start here today. I have 4.5 teaspoons of active dry yeast, which equates to 18 grams. I like to weigh that out. Personally, I like to use Flashman's, but really any home-bought yeast will do for you. I just happen to have Flashman's in here because I like it. Next, 2 teaspoons of sugar, right there. It's 8 grams. A recipe does say you can use honey if you prefer, and I do have a little secret that I like to do personally. It's not really a secret. A lot of people probably do it. But personally, I like to throw in a little bit of honey into mine along with the sugar just to get some extra nice little sweet. I just put a dab in there. It's not too much. This is some Tupelo raw honey from the Savannah Bee Company that my folks got me a while back. I love using it. It's so good in a cute little jar. Love that. Love that so much. Then we got 2.5 cups of warm water, which is 600 grams right there. I personally like to keep my water around like 73, 75 to like 82.3, 82.9, 83.2, any of those. Anywhere from like the 75 or so to 82. You don't want it too hot. This is like you put your yeast and your sugar in here to start it before you put any flour in there. And you just want to make sure that yeast populates and gets really nice and foamy before you start pouring all your flour in there. The next, I don't have this measured out currently, but that's okay. It's 2.5 teaspoons, 16 grams of kosher salt, which is right there. Then we got 5 to 7 cups of all-purpose flour, 800 grams. No, not that flour, silly. That's too pretty. You don't want that. You want this kind of flour. Personally, I use bread flour, but I mean, all-purpose flour is great too. I used to use that all the time. You just want 800 grams. Do you want to measure? Personally, I like to measure specifically the flour precisely to what it says in the recipe. So you don't want to overflour this. You don't want to underflour it. You want to make sure that all your flour is good to go. So I like to use my scale for that. Personally, why I have that scale. Then I'm gonna make this a little herby bread today, herby Kirby, I'll tell you that much. So I'm gonna cut up some rosemary in there too, make it all nice and rosemary-y in that bread. It's gonna be real good. Then, for last but not least, I'm not gonna be using this until later. Actually, it's two things, is my proofing basket and my baker's lime, or lame. I don't know what it's called, whatever, you're lame. But these are all the things I'll be using. I'm going to stop this video so I can get my hands ready, and then I'm going to start putting the yeast and the sugar in a smaller little bowl with some water. Let that yeast populate, and you want it to get really foamy and nice and expanding, and it looks all weird and shit, but it'll make that bread rise real good. Okay, well, I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye. So I've just poured the yeast, the sugar, and some honey in there. Earlier I said I don't really use a lot of that honey, but I did definitely put a dollop size in there this time. We'll make it some sweet. It's pretty good. I love it. I'm going to be all about it. Next, I'm going to add all of this water, this warm water, into this bowl, and I'm going to let the yeast rise up, get all ready, get all fancy, get all dancing around and acting crazy. And I'll let it foam up. I'm gonna come back and get you another video of all this stuff foaming up once it's all foamy. Okay, well, I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye. All right, we're back. And after pouring like the water and the honey and the sugar mixture all together and the yeast, this is my favorite part. It's watching these little micro explosions underneath the water, making it all foamy. It's all that yeast just doubling, tripling, expanding, just getting bigger and bigger and making all that foam down in there in that bowl. I love this part. I just wanted to include this on the video because it's like really cool to see. I don't know if y'all make bread. If you do, you're probably not excited about this because y'all always see this shit, but for those who don't, it's a really cool process, and I really love it. Science! But seriously, y'all, it's really cool. Well, I'm going to let this do its thing for a couple more minutes, and then I'll start adding the flour and everything, and then we're going to start getting a loaf together, you know what I mean? Okay, well, I hope you're enjoying this. If you're not, I mean, that sucks, but okay. But I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye. Look at all them bubbles. Okay, I'm back. And now since the flour's about to go in, it's all going to be on one take, so hope I don't mess up. But if I do, you know, I'm human. We all mess up. We all mess up one way or another. We all mess up. But here we go, one take. I'm going to start adding this flour, but I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do the entire thing all at once. I'm going to pour in just a bit. Come on in. Go on in there. It's okay. I'm going to leave a little bit out so when it starts mixing, it's not getting all crazy. But I'm going to put this on, my little attachment. It might get loud in here, but that's okay. We'll keep it down. I guess there's like flour flying around or some shit. Look at all them snowflakes on there. What's going on, man? But here we go. I'm going to start mixing this. Let it go around. Let it go around. It's going to be wet and shit. You got to make sure all the ingredients are incorporated. So I just want to make sure that I'm not putting too much in there in the start. I'm going to let it do its thing. Then I'm going to go in with the rest. Is it a pretty process? Not really, but you know, that's okay. Look at those rotations. We'll speed it up one more. Let shit start getting all thrown around. Hyperdrive. I'm gonna slow her back down. Right there. Pour the rest in so all that stuff on the walls can be incorporated too. Sometimes this stuff sprays around when it hits the, oh boy, hot jambalaya. I went up on that. What have I done? Get in there. All right, well, that's all the flour. Now, just start going around and around. And in this process, I'm also going to mix in some sugar. This is salt, not sugar. Uh-oh. I misspoke. That's okay, I'm human. We all do that. And also in this, I've got my rosemary, but I also put a little bit of herbs de Provence in there, and I'm gonna get crazy with it today. I ate a little bit of THC, that's okay. But I'm gonna pour this in now. Let this go all around. It's gonna be incorporated. I'm gonna speed her up a little bit. Let it get all mixed in there on that shit. Everyone is just going wild. Look at this crazy thing. And this is a good sign that it's pulling away from all the edges. We love that. This one specifically is a bit of a shaggy and a sticky dough at this point. So we're gonna let it calm down here after it's all mixed in. I might speed it up a little bit. Get a little wild with it. Look at that shake. Look at that shake. Look at that shake. Slow it back down a little bit. I like that. It smells good. Look at that smell. You can't look at that smell, but I can. I can smell it. Slow her back down a little bit. Let her stop. And then, since this is like a wet dough, it does look a bit shaggy, a bit sticky, a little bit wet. That's okay. It's gonna smooth out and get more elastic throughout the process. So I'm now going to lift this up and cover the bowl with a tea towel. I'm gonna let this rise for about an hour and a half, maybe 2, depending on if I have time. We'll see. Probably 2. We'll do 2. But I'm gonna cover this bowl up and let it sit, and when I come back, this bread will be all risen up a little bit for the first time, and then I'm gonna let it sit again after I do some exercises on it. And yeah, this is what the bread looks like for now. I'll be back. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. All right, y'all, I'm back. Please pardon the dishwasher. It's running right now. Keep it nice and clean in the kitchen. You want to keep it nice and clean. You always want to keep it nice and clean. But I just wanted to take a little check on this rise here. We're about, let's see, 50 minutes into it or so. And oh my goodness gracious, look how big that shit is. All right, well, that looks fantastic. I'm glad the yeast is doing its thing and rising. But I'm gonna let this sit a little bit longer, get this a real big boy. So we'll see. We probably got about, I'm probably gonna let it sit for another 42 minutes or so, but we'll see. I'm gonna keep checking along the process. I just wanted to show you. This is a big old bowl too, it's deep. That thing is rising like crazy. Loving it. I'm loving it. But yeah, I'll check back in soon. Okay, bye-bye.
Well, hey, y'all. I changed the position of my camera, or my cellular telephone camera, so you can see the next part of the process. I did fail to mention earlier that, one, this is not my recipe. This is a recipe from a website called Life as Strawberry. It's a .com. It has one of the best artisan loaves that I've used in the past, and I like to continue on with this shit. So, other things I forgot to mention. One of my tools is this awesome little flour sifter. You see that flour dropping out? That's pretty cool. And then my bread shaper. This great tool, it has a little ruler on it. You can't really see that. I'm gonna zoom that in, but it's also bright. You can't see that shit. That's okay. I'll be using this to shape the bread later. So, I'm gonna step back up. You're not gonna see my face anymore. You're just gonna see my hands. You see my hands working. But, here we go. Okay, so this next part, I'm gonna lightly flour my cutting board, my bread board.
I use this one specifically for my breads. It's a cute little board. It's a big board. Fits the big loaves, the big uns. Get some flour on that shit right there. Make it nice and even. Lightly flour it. Even though it looks like a thick pattern, it's not that much. Okay, so I'm done with that. And now I'm going to grab my pot with the start of the loaf in there, and look how much that thing has risen. My goodness gracious, that was 2 hours in there. Now when I pour it on here, it's gonna deflate a little bit, but then we're gonna do some things to it, pull some corners, and it's gonna grow back up to this when I let it sit for a final rise. So I'm gonna dump this right out onto this cutting board real quick. Let it all get out on there. Oh, dump it on out. Look at that good webbing. That is good. Jump all out. Come on. You got it. Yeah, I see you got it. Now I'm gonna get this little spatula here. Pull any out of this bowl, because there's still some stuck on the edges. That's okay. Pull some out. You can see what I'm doing on there. Pull some of it out. It's a thick web, so we're gonna dip as much out as we physically can. It doesn't have to be all of it. I just like getting the leftovers, flopping it back on this pile. Look at that. Just like that, and just like that. One more time. Yeah, just like that. One more time. There we go. Put that down. And now I'm coming back, and I'm going to start shaping this in with the flour. My hands are gonna get sticky, so I'm gonna start putting some more flour on this sumbitch. Not too much, but a nice light dusting. Ooh, look at that. That's a good dusting. So I'm gonna do its thing right here, and then I'm going to start shaping it into a little round dough circle. I'm gonna get this in here, start pushing some flour into this. Get it into a little round shape. Just like that. Don't worry about getting it too shaped up, because we're going to start pulling corners here in a second. Alright, so now, as you can see, here with this loaf, I'm going to start pulling corners right into the center. Do it over and over again until it gets a little bit stiffer. This is all pretty loose stuff right now. Just gonna keep going on the corners, making a little seam like that. Keep going. You're gonna keep pulling and pulling and pulling until it doesn't get as floppy as it currently is. So this process will keep on going. Make a nice little seam in the middle. Just like that. Keep pulling it. It'll get less elastic pretty soon. It's getting stickier as all of the flour's coming off of it, so I might do a light sprinkle on the bottom here in a second. We're getting less elastic here. We're getting to a tighter ball. This is going to help it in its final rise. So it'll become a nice, big, and thick boy. A good boy. So my hands are dirty, but I'm going to grab this little wand again. Wand. Sprinkle on some flour. I'll do it on the top and underneath. There we go. Sometimes it's hard as a devil to get out of there, but we'll get it. Look at that. I'm out of flour, so I'm gonna dip in a little bit more. Oh, there goes my chimes for my dishwasher, so the dishes are done. That's pretty cool. Put some more flour on here, not too much, just a light dusting. Move it around a little bit on here so I can incorporate some of this new flour that I just put down so it's not all sticking to the bottom. It's okay if it does. We just want it nice and loose and free. Free life, free love. You get this around. Just like that. You can't even see where I made that seam anymore, so I might pull a little bit more on these corners. Because I want a nice thick seam on the bottom when I finally cook it later. You want that good seam. Just differentiates the top from the bottom, and in my eyes it's good to know when you're popping it in the pot. There's that. And now I'm going to start shaping it to the nice round dough that it will become the bread later. So I want to make this the really good round loaf that it will become now. Use my shaper a little bit. Don't be afraid to get in there. It's always good to get in there. Make a nice, tight, round loaf. Look at that thing. That thing is gonna grow up to be healthy and strong. It's gonna be a good bread. It's gonna be a good bread. See that? It is. Whoop. Don't look at that. So that's great. Look at that nice round little loaf. You can see it right there. That's a good shape. So now I'm gonna get my proofing bowl. Get my little wand here. I'm gonna start sprinkling the inside here. But I'm about to lay this little loaf in here to get those good proofing lines before I score it later. My scoring jobs are never that good, but we'll see if this time around on camera it'll come out nicely. Probably not, but we shall see. All right, I think that's enough flour in there. So now I'm going to grab this loaf, I'm gonna put it seam side down inside of this proofing basket. I can never do this right. I'm doing it right now. Just flop it in, let it sit in there, let it mold into the form of the proofing basket. So now I'm gonna let it sit a little bit, and I might put a little tea towel over it for a second. I might sprinkle some of this. I might cut, if you give me a second, I might cut again. But yeah, I'm gonna put just a little bit more flour on this thing. Oh, and see, I'm empty here. I'm gonna grab another little scoop, not too much. Do this, flour the top. Nice and light-handed. There you go. Just like that. And now, I'm gonna put this towel on here, this tea towel, recommended use of a tea towel, and then I'm gonna let it sit for another 30 or 45 minutes to maybe an hour, let it rise again, get even bigger, and then we'll prepare
for the final part of the process, or the next final couple pieces of the process, and I will get back to you shortly. Well, I hope this is informative for you. Okay, bye-bye. Oh, hey, welcome back, y'all. Okay, so this next part of this process, while the bread is in its final rise, I'm gonna go ahead and start my oven. So I'm gonna put on bake and put it on 460 degrees. I'm gonna start that, and then I'm gonna next put in my Martha Stewart 6-quart cast iron pot here into my oven. And it's gonna be a bit hard to do this one-handed, but I'm gonna take this lid off real quick. Ooh, look at that pot, that looks good. I'm gonna open this up. My shelves are already at a good position. Flop this in here. Put the top on it. Take your top off. No, keep it on. You wanna keep your top on for this. You wanna get this all heated up. While this is preheating, I got about 11 minutes and 41 seconds left for this final rise. I might let it go for a little bit more, let that pot get super hot up. But yeah, this thing is on the rise and it is poking through the top here, if you can see that. But if you can't, you'll see it soon. But yeah, I'm gonna start this next video here in a minute. Once this starts finishing its rise, and then the oven gets up to temperature. But I'll see you soon. Don't you worry, I'll come right back. Okay, I love you so much. Bye-bye. Just wanted to get a quick video of what the final rise is looking like. And get a look at that rise. Isn't that a beauty? Hey, bloke. That was a Steve Irwin. That was terrible. But look at that rise. That's a good rise. We still got some time left on this oven, preheating up, getting that pot real hot. But I just wanted to show you, look at that. There's gonna be some gorgeous proofing basket lines on that. Just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, well, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye. Well, okie dokie, folks. Now we're moving along. I just pulled my hot pot out of the oven, and it is now open and cooling. I'm gonna grab this bread here that looks very nice and a thick boy. Look at that jiggle. I'm gonna flip this over so this the bottom side, the seam side, is now going to be on top of my cutting board, my breadboard. I'm going to start another video shortly after this so you can see the process of what I'm going to be doing while I'm going to be scoring this bread. But I wanted to show you this gorgeous jiggle. Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. That is thick. But I'm going to be right back. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye. Okie dokie now. Well, I spread out just a little bit of flour on my breadboard. I'm gonna dump this out. It's gonna get a little floppy. That's okay. It's always gonna get floppy. And also, my dumbass forgot to get parchment paper from the local food mart. So I won't have any of that to transfer into my hot pot. But we'll see how it goes. My breads don't always look the prettiest, and I'm okay with that as long as it eats. As long as it eats. So I'm gonna flop this over here. We'll see how that goes. Slap. Let it just slip right out. Oh, look at those proofing lines. Don't pull too hard there, brother. Don't pull. Don't pull. Oh, you got it. Come on. There we go. Look at those proofing lines. That is gorgeous. That's a thick boy. It is nice and fluffy. Look at that, how airy that is. I don't know if you can see that via the internet, but what the fuck is the internet? That's what I say. But that is fluffy. That is a good fluff. I might get it a little bit harder, tuck her in just a little bit. So when I do those scoring lines, now I'm just gonna be doing these scoring lines on the fly. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but it's probably not gonna work out. And I'm okay with that, because life be like that sometimes. That's okay. So let's see. There we go with that. Now, here we go. Actually, I'm gonna tighten this up a little bit more, just so it stays into a form that I'm okay with and comfortable with when I get this blade on here. You know, get fluffy. You get fluffy with it. Because then I'm gonna go in after I score it, put a little bit more flour on the top. We'll see how it goes. So, what I wanna do is, you wanna get about like 1.5 inches deep or so. I always say that, it never turns out right, but you know, we're trying our best here. Go like that. That seems like a bit deep. I might close that up a little bit. Do some leaf cuts. Just like that. This is to help the bread open up, breathe, get fuller in certain areas. Mine never works out. Even though these are brand new sharp blades. But you know, we'll see. We always try. You always gotta try. If you don't try, then what's the fucking point? You know what I mean? I can already tell that ain't gonna work, but you know, that's how life be. Just cut a couple more leaves in these things. Some of them may open, some of them probably won't. And it's always a good lesson when you're baking. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect. I don't look for perfection. I look for practice, because practice makes perfect. Or practice makes permanent, not perfect. Don't believe in perfection, people. What the fuck is perfection? Doesn't exist. It's abstract. Those are my cuts. It's not gonna end up pretty well. It's looking floppy now. I might have deflated it, but that's how life be. But I'm gonna put some more flour underneath this, just to give it a nice little jiggle with some flour. And then I'm gonna go flop it in that hot ass pot. But I'll be back with you shortly. I'm gonna sprinkle a nice little dusting on top here. Just like that. I'm not going to show you the transfer into the pot, but you'll get enough of a sense of it on the next shot of how it just gets flopped right in there without the use of parchment paper, because I'm a dumbass who didn't pick up any from the local food mart. But we'll chat later. I'll be right back. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, the bread has made it into the pot. And now I'm gonna put the lid on it. Oh boy. Put the lid on it. Now I'm gonna open up the oven. Put this in there for 30 minutes with the top on. Then after 30 minutes, I'm gonna take the top off, let it cook with the top off, maybe some ice cubes, throw in some steam in there. But I'm gonna do that for another 15 minutes after the top is off. But we'll be back. Door is open. I'm about to throw this in, but I need both of my hands just to be careful. I won't burn myself. Okay, well, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Okay, so now we've reached the next part of the step. The oven just beeped for the first 30 minutes with the top on this sumbitch. I'm gonna open this up, pull the lid off just so you can see the bread. Oh, that is a beautiful crust on top, but clearly none of our scoring lines showed up. But you know, that happens sometimes, and like you just can't dwell on those moments. Next time I'll try again harder. I got a nice little shelf on there, so that's pretty cool. I'm gonna close this back up really quick while I get like 4 or 5 ice cubes out of my freezer. Grab these real quick. I'm just gonna dump these in. Oh, you can see some of the things that are in there. You don't want to see too much of that. we're gonna come back, put these ice cubes down. I'm gonna open this really quick and try to dump these on that bottom pan that's been heating up as long as that other pot, just to get some steam. I'm gonna close that, let that steam get up in there, and I'm gonna set this sumbitch for another 15 minutes. Okay, start. So hopefully by the next time we come back on this video, we will see a nice dark top loaf, good shelf on it. There aren't going to be any scoring lines, but you know, you try sometimes in life and things just don't work out. If everything worked out in my life, me and Jess would be in like Maui or Tuscaloosa or something. Not in Austin, but you know, that's how life be sometimes. So we're just gonna let this bread go ahead. Got the next 15 minutes and I'll be back in a quick little jiffy. Okay, bye-bye now. Well, I just pulled my bread out of the oven and I swear this is the most beautiful top I've ever seen. Clearly, all of my scoring didn't work out, but you know, I'm gonna eat this shit anyways. It's still gonna be good. But look at this top. This is just a gorgeous loaf. It's not very thick, but it's still a thick enough, dense boy that I'm gonna eat this for the next couple of days. I do thank y'all for, if you did watch this video all the way through, and if you didn't, you know, so be it. You know what I mean? But thank you so much. Once again, this is Drinkin and Dinkin with Adam. And I know I was drinking a Pliny the Elder earlier, but now I'm drinking a truly classic lime margarita style hard seltzer. I had a wonderful time doing this, and I'm finally glad that I made a video of me making some bread. This smells absolutely delicious. I'm gonna wait 30 more minutes and cut this thing up, let it cool down a little bit. You don't ever wanna cut it when it's too warm, too hot, because it'll just mess up your bread. So you wanna wait like 30 minutes, let it do its thing, and then start cutting it. But this, I don't know if you can hear that, but that crust is just so crisp, the perfect way that I love it. The inside's gonna be glorious. I can already smell the delicious, absolutely delicious aromas that are coming from this bread. But until next time, this is Drinkin and Dinkin with Adam. This time, it's the bread edition. I'll see you next time. Wink.